Okay, everybody, welcome back to We Are Aquarius. I, Frank, this is Brad, and we're Aquarius. How's it going? I figured I'd make
Pretty
it very
good.
short and simple that time.
Pretty good. Earlier yesterday, somebody said to me, I said, how you doing? And they said, they said, how you doing? And I said, I can't complain. And they said, well, sure you can. You're at work. And I thought to myself, like, I feel bad for you because just because you're at work doesn't mean you have to complain. Or does it?
You could always have something to complain about at work if you're thinking about all these different things, But
Why are you thinking about all those things instead of doing your job?
your work could be about thinking about all these different things. If your work is logistics, then you have to think about all these different kinds of things.
Logistics, every person's work is like on the side logistics on how they can secretly make their job better and easier and more fun.
How can I do this and fall asleep at the same time? That's perfect.
The robots are taking over our jobs. What? This is bullshit. This isn't right.
It's like there was a comedy in Brigandine, the game that I keep talking about, the older version. This one guy named Bill Cock, which it's a funny name, they named him that, but he says he's always trying to create these toys or these inventions for the queen of the country, Marriott. And so he says he made this staff so the guards can lean on and they can fall asleep on while they're on guard duty. And King Kai's like, but wouldn't that negate the fact that they're supposed to be on guard duty? And he's like, okay, next invention. He made a crutch so the guards could just lean on it and look like they're, awake while they're on guard duty. But you want to talk about perception. I think we were going to do something with that too tonight. So
perception and improvision.
Improv.
Yeah.
That's what I put on my that's what I put on my stream for my Twitch all the time is improv, because that's kind of my comedy. I don't memorize jokes or anything. It's just like if it pops in my head. Like there's this one time a friend came by and he's like I'm dating a girl who's half Asian. I said, that's great. Which one? And which half are you dating? The Asian or the other half? I don't know, but
what's the other half?
I didn't know what the other half was. You didn't tell me.
Tiger Woods is half Asian.
White, Mexican, African American. I have no idea.
The cool thing about America is there's so many like different kinds of mixtures. It's interesting.
Did you ever look in your history, find out you're like a 256th Indian or something like that, or Native American?
My birth dad told me that. I think he said Cherokee or something like that. But honestly, I don't like to even consider how we would have that Indian within us. So it's like.
And why is that ingrained into us to say that so much? It's like Indian. It's not Indian. It's
Native
American.
Saying because there's Native American in your blood. So don't worry, you're not part of that group. What group? The group that gave mostly of them tuberculosis, or like.
And we had that
Andrew Jackson was the one who really screwed over the Indians, if anybody. He went down as a really good president, apparently. So, still in the $20 bill.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, people complain about the whole past. Like, this is what happened in the past. We had to complain about it because there were bad things that happened. Well, things got better, didn't they? It's like, do we have to, like, go in the past and, like, look at what happened when I was, like, 10 years old?
Why do we have to go that far in the past? Why can't we just go back in the past when things were, like, changing?
Yeah, why can't we go back in the past when our childhood and just look at that and be like, this is what we can change now? I mean, you're looking like if we're going to look back in the past, the beginning of America, why don't we look back in the past, the beginning of Rome, the beginning of Greece, and try to fix that now? I mean, that makes sense, right? Let's go back and do that.
What do they do over back
What
then
did they
that
What did they
messed
do
with?
wrong that we can fix that? We're going to make that better. Those stupid assholes that did those bad things, we're gonna get them for it. We're gonna tear down their statues. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring down their temples and
Is the
just
reason
bulldoze the pyramid. Give them a big middle finger. I'm just saying, like, that's perception. Like, why do we perceive all these things that happened hundreds of years ago to thousands of years ago as something that has any relevance to right now? If
well, I think
everything's
the
been changing.
pirates are relevant still.
Well, yeah, they're still around. Yeah, they're still real. They're just not. They're just
1400s,
not shooting
13 to
cannons and
1400s. You know how
it's
many
not
pirates were
cannonballs.
probably already here? I mean, I would assume Christopher Columbus was like so late to the show. Even he probably got over. There was probably already a few people over there. They're probably like, like another ship, just get down. Like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like Christopher Columbus is one of the people that came back.
Oh yeah,
Like
he
that's like
came
the
back.
difference.
You know, well, Leif Erikson was the first Viking to make it here, and there's actual evidence of Chinese people that sailed over here earlier than that. There was evidence of Chinese imported goods in caves in Northern America before any of this.
Could you imagine if like Lewis and Clark never actually like went all the way across to map things out
Mhm.
and like 80 to 100 more years go by and then like China just comes over and starts like or Japan even just like they have so many ships over there now and it's like they actually own half of the United States and I
You
mean
know
things could just be so different
that's the thing
if you
people
would have
didn't
made it different.
That's the thing people didn't realize. It could have been Japan or China that could have taken over what is America now if the Europeans didn't
And
bother.
if we were acting the same way we were now and like China was just like all of California, like we'd be done. I mean, they were. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
It's
what?
not that I want to get down on a lot of people that are about making things better and change and the bad things of the past, we shouldn't redo them again. But here's the thing: I had this argument. I got to tell you this, Brad. You tell me. This is gonna fit. This is gonna fit my point in here just nice and perfectly. But you tell me, if you had a time traveling machine, would you go back and kill Hitler? You could whatever way you say it doesn't matter. I need to show you my point here. But what would you? Would you or could you if you could?
No. I mean,
Okay,
just what is the
okay.
difference? Just
That
Hitler?
that's that's what I wanted to say. And it's not to say you're right or wrong in that whole instance, but the fact is, if you go and you kill the past, like we go tear down all these statues, you're going to forget all about that, and you're going to recreate it in some new way. So everybody's going to be like, well, that was such a terrible person. We shouldn't do that again. Well, it's because you forgot the past. You forgot the people that were like that. And then you went ahead and recreated it because you thought it was all bad. So you want to tear it down so you couldn't see it. This is what Hitler did. He burned the books. He burned the evidence. He wanted to make a pure system with just him and his own Aryan nation, but he wanted to purify it. The Jews had a disease. They had to be quarantined. They had to be thrown into concentration camps because they were getting around. They were spewing around typhoid everywhere. They were bad people. I'm just saying, like, we throw away the past, we're doomed to repeat it in
But
the
that's
future.
because it becomes the butterfly effect. I mean, imagine if somehow there was some crazy accident where you got thrown into the past and there's no way you can go forward and you're stuck there and there's nobody coming back to save you and you're just gonna have to adapt to this time period. Wouldn't you be paranoid of everything you do in a sense that you might even motivate the wrong person that just you know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah, oh
Like
yeah, definitely. You would
butterfly
have.
effect. It would start. I mean, even the death of yourself can make the next person. Why do you shoot himself? There's no clues to it. Who is this person? And you start getting into huge questions. They say this person is not ideable. You know what I mean? Like where'd he come from? And it starts getting like,
Then it could be
well,
a really
actually,
weird
sir.
situation like Futurama,
Then
where
it yeah, then it
you're
gets
your own grandfather.
paranormal comes in and all. You know what I mean? Like everything you do would be like dangerous. It'd almost be like best for you to just like take a cruise ship and drown or something. get away from everybody. Nobody ever
You'd
notices,
have to
or
live on an island. Yeah.
find a way to like, yeah, like just like get out in the middle of the nowhere. And but even then, you'd have to swim out late at night because if
Yeah.
you had a boat out there, they'll find you.
But I'm just saying with perception and stuff, like people think like, we
It's weird to think about the
if we
greater
could,
good
if you
society.
like I love listening to that joke with even Norm Macdonald and other people. They're like, you know what, Hitler was he was a real jerk. If I had a time trailer machine, I'd go back and I'd kill Hitler. And he would say that was part of his joke. But the fact is, if you do that, you erase the evil that was there, and then nobody understands that that could happen. So there's a new evil person. It's like, hey, no one's ever tried this before. Let me give this a try. They're the new Hitler.
But this is the whole message. Okay, now you have today's time period.
We'd have a new
Is it
Hitler,
right? Let's say that
and it'd
you
probably be.
suddenly, all right, let's say that you suddenly get pulled up by either God or an AI or a higher power being or whatever in this case, and they show you everybody's true nature. And they're like, what would you have it? This person is responsible for, the torture of thousands. Like, would you have him dead? Would you like to judge him in front? You know what I mean? What would you do or say to make it
Well, you're talking about a final
better?
judgment, though. I'm talking about like just
Well,
history
no,
moving through time.
not even a final judgment. I'm saying, okay, let's say, forget the judgment part of it. Then I'm just saying, would you do that now if you could shoot your laser beam fingers at all the evil people in this world who are doing evil things, and you can be like, well, that person's doing something bad, but I can see deep in his heart that he could change if maybe there wasn't so much evil around him. Would you do it? Would you kill maybe 10 plus thousand, or at what level, or at, maybe even 10 million, because there's the second string of evil, the people who they have mental problems and they don't see things in a manner that's right, and they're incapable of certain
Yeah, like the
emotions
guy
that
that
allow them to
that
be
ran
normal.
over 40 people and 5 people died in Wisconsin.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Do you think he's evil, or he's apathetic and confused and lost and needs help? And I get it, he should go to jail at this point, but will he ever get the true help?
He
And even
had
then, what is the
insanely
help?
easy bonds to be able to get out on that he should have never gotten out on bonds. He drove over his ex-girlfriend.
What is the help that you
I
can give someone like that?
Well, obviously jail
Medicine to
time, I
make him
mean
a
it makes
zombie?
sense, that they have to have that, but the fact is I don't think that our societies are built to help. I think our societies, like a
Right.
lot of people are saying, like the jail system is just built to enslave people, to make them forced to do this extra work, maybe road work or maybe this
But
extra
our
work.
society's dog
Just,
eat dog, and if you can't survive,
but
well, then I guess you don't get to play ball with us. And if you can't survive and you try to break the rules, well, I guess you can go live in the big house.
yeah, and
It's weird.
the
Like, we're
fact
mean to
is,
each other. We're
well,
cruel to each other.
well, yeah, yeah. There's a huge perspective to that, and people want to. There's a lot of people on the left that want to basically push towards communism or socialism, as they call it, which is pretty much almost one and the same. There's not much difference between all that, but they're like, well, it's going to be better this time. But you haven't seen all the stuff in the past, don't you? And that's the whole point. Like, you didn't you see what happened beforehand? As soon as you try to make some kind of socialistic leader,
But
that socialistic leader wants to have all the control of everything because he becomes looked upon like a god for your system. And that god needs to be
but
worshipped. The
everything is
god
always,
needs to
but this is what
be
I'm
given
saying.
good things. And so, therefore, everybody else is
The
normal and
government
equal, but this god is not. He's above you.
the government was never supposed to get involved in all these like programs and stuff like that. That's supposed to
But
be an independent person's
yeah, but that's
ability.
that's the
And
whole thing.
and
They
truthfully,
blame
a
they
lot of
blame
these actors and actresses should be the ones who are making charities and organizations for. They're the ones who had to go to rehab countless times themselves because they're troubled.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
they
look at
know these people with split personalities, they're just a fraction of the way themselves because that's why they're actors. They know how to see things at different angles.
yeah, because you look at things like Colin Kaepernick, and he's saying stuff like, "Oh, we're just being pulled into slavery, and slaves now make $13 million." I mean, well, slaves make $13 million. Let me be a slave. I'll take $13 million if I can go out there and run the ball. That's the whole point of the sport. If you're going to be a police officer or a firefighter, you're putting your life on the line. You're putting your
But
body on the line. If you're going to go out and do sports, you're putting your body on the line. Yeah, you could become paraplegic. You could become paralyzed. You could become
I understand
you could lose you
what
could
he means by it.
severely injure a limb. So you're getting paid millions of dollars for that. That's why you're getting paid that much money. And so that if you if
But that goes in the argument that I was saying with the police officers though. I don't know if I talked to you about that,
I'm just
right?
saying, people putting their bodies on the line, getting paid a lot of money, and then they complain about it. It's like you got nothing to complain about. There's people that barely get any money, but barely make a life. There's poor people all around the place. You have a very high athletic aptitude, and you're going to complain about it like you're some kind of slave. You're a total idiot. Kaepernick is a complete and absolute moron. He has
I
nothing to
mean,
complain about.
you do sign the contract.
And that's the whole point. You go sign a contract and you're like, "Whoa, we're being treated like..." No, slaves have never gotten paid. Ever. Slaves were always indebted. They were never paid. And
I
if they
think
were paid with
he
objects,
means
then
the way
maybe
that you're
objects, but
treated, but I doubt that they were getting beaten either.
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, you're not a
Like
slave
you
if
don't
you're in
think,
the
I mean,
NFL. You're
you're
one of the
getting
privileged.
mentally beaten.
You're one of the privileged few.
I mean, probably the
You're
people
the
in
one
that type of,
percenters. The one percenters
they're
have
like
nothing to
going
complain about.
they're going through boot camp like, way longer than a normal military person goes through boot camp. You know what I mean? Like they just literally their entire life is like boot camp, and then it's like take a day off and then on the field to play a real ball game. You know what I mean? I would
Yeah, but
think
what if I got paid $13 million, and after one season I get some kind of really bad neck injury or some really bad leg injury and I can't play again? Well, guess what? I got $13 million. I'm going to be fine for quite a long time. And even if I'm just sitting on my ass watching games and I'm just like, man, I'm set. Just set. Maybe I'm not living the life of a billionaire, but at least, I've got money. I can put it in stocks. I can do. If you're smart with what you're doing, you get it going for a
I
long
wouldn't even
time.
care because if I had $13 million, I wouldn't even spend like a million of it. Like
Yeah, you could do all kinds of stuff with it. I'm just saying, like some.
I
I mean, don't do what MC Hammer did with his money,
I'd probably
obviously, but
legitimately
you know.
find ways to like just give it to people.
And I'm just saying, like what we have with perception, with the way people are saying things now. There's some people are just ridiculously stupid, like Kaepernick. He's a complete, absolute idiot, 100% idiot. He thinks he's trying to do something to actually do something, but guess what? All that advertising he did he do
Really
it?
hate this
Did he
guy.
start any? Did he start anything to give to anybody? Did he give anything to anybody? Calling people slaves?
Personally, do not know.
I don't think he did. I've never heard about that.
I don't
Is he
know. It
just
seems like a
trying to
lot of
be
the
a
people in the
narcissist?
NFL are always like up the
It,
butts creek.
Is he trying to be
There's
some
a lot
kind of
of
narcissist
situations.
where he's trying to get attention? Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. That's what he's trying to do. The thing is, what do they do if you're trying to be a police officer or a fire department person, firefighter? Do they look and see if you're fit to join? Do you have to try? Yeah, you do. You can't just be a firefighter if you wish to be one. You're going to have to go through some training. If you can't pass some of the training, you can't. If you want to be in the military, Brad, you have to do some training to see if you can join. If you don't pass certain tests, you can't join certain places like Air Force. You got to get a
Support
certain
those who
percentage on
can.
your ASVAB test. If you got like flat feet, you can't get in the military now with flat feet. They won't let you in. If you're deaf, if you're totally colorblind, if you're like, this, you're that, you can't get in. Certain jobs have certain restrictions. And if
I
Kaepernick
don't
can't
know.
get
I
that through his
throw up
head,
super
then he
easily.
is completely stupid. He is a complete moron.
Would that let me still? Would I be able to not join because I throw up super easily?
If you got some kind of nervous tick where it interferes with your ability to do your job, yes. You won't be able to get in.
I mean, like the doctor wanted me to go to more people. They wouldn't sign any papers.
Unless you found some kind of easy way in into maybe the army or something like that. And I don't know, but for the fact is, most part, like you can't join the military if you're over a certain weight and you're a certain age. I'm serious.
Or those who do.
You can't. You just can't. They won't let you. It's not about applying to your feelings. It's not about feelings. It's about performance. And so if you're going to apply to be, let's say there was some kind of national runner, like you're a marathon or whatever, like you could run across the country and stuff and carry a torch like in the Olympics and stuff like that. And they paid that job. Like you were that was paid. If you could not run a mile without passing out, you wouldn't get the job.
I
You
mean,
know,
how come a person with only one arm can't like work in the oil? I mean, how come OSHA doesn't say that they need safe work conditions for that guy too? You know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like everything's just fake.
yeah. And then you see this
OSHA hasn't
perception of
cared
things.
about how many people have to lift things more than what OSHA wants and all that. People, how many people miss their breaks and all. OSHA hasn't cared about anything, and then all of a sudden they want to be like, oh, vaccine mandates and all this. Like, who are you?
I don't think that's going to
You've been a
apply in every
clown. You've been
state,
a
though.
clown company. Like, I don't,
I
that's
think
what
the
I'm
courts
saying.
ruled against that because it's unconstitutional in so many ways. It's
The
forcing medicine
government
on
isn't
people.
supposed to get involved like that. The
But that's,
government's it's like it's all taxation without representation. All of that is nonsense.
yeah.
I don't know why we're even here at this point. I don't, that's what I'm saying about perception and improvising. We've all improvised. We've all been thought like we're supposed to improvise and get to this, you know, oh, we can figure it out. Improvise with soy-based turkey. You know, like no, but it's insane anymore. Like improvise. Like
I've tried some.
while you guys write the rules, we're supposed to improvise. And it's like you said before we even started the show about perception. The whole thing is perception controls reality.
Yeah.
How strong is your perception? I don't know. How strong is your faith in Jesus? How strong is anything
And I think
that you have in
that's a
life?
sad thing that I don't want to say it's losing its grip, but I think it's starting to make a comeback. Is a lot of people have lost their faith in Jesus's sayings because they're being forced perceptional reasons that don't make any sense.
That's what I
Look at
mean.
look at what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. Those that don't understand and just keep saying he was completely guilty, they never watched a single part of the trial. They never did. They saw a headline, they saw somebody angry and somebody saying, this is what happened. And because they've got check marks and they've got followers, they feel that they have the goddess
I just don't
Nike for
understand how
victory to help them
Whoopi
gain
Goldberg can say
victory.
that.
They'll lose.
Whoopi Goldberg
They'll
said,
eventually
I don't
lose.
care how the courts played it out. Two people lost their lives, and that's murder in my book. But what about all the other people who lost their lives with all these other movements?
Look at all the people that have died
And like
during all these riots of the
they never
past
even
year.
batted an
Were
eye.
they out? Were
It's
they
like, are
on?
you? It's
Yeah,
disgusting in my mind.
yeah. Look at all the people that died throughout the past entire year because of Antifa and all the stuff that's going on with that.
And
Was
they're
that
probably
put in the
labeled as
news?
COVID deaths because they got COVID in the hospital
But they
before they
also have a
died.
bullet in their gut, right?
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying.
It's depressing. And that's what I'm saying. It's perception. And how much longer are we going to allow this perception? I mean, you know,
That's the thing.
we have
That's
the
what
ability.
Jesus. This is what Jesus had to say, and I think this is an important thing. I think what you're trying to come to is something that just opened my eyes right now. What Jesus said to those people is pull the scales off of your eyes because they only had one way of vision, scales. It's almost like pull the serpent skin off of yourself. Stop being the serpent and see the reality for what it is. Now, scales could have meant just scales, could have meant something like that. I don't know. I keep thinking it was serpent skin or something like that. But he told them to pull the scales off their eyes at one point in the Bible. and he was talking to the people. The thing is, it's just like that. Just like what he had to say. It's the same thing we're saying right now. You and me are saying that right now.
I mean, Mr. Beast planted over 1 million trees or whatever. He made it happen. Just like how black, that's why I said, it's like a lot of these black people know the Black Lives Matter business of it all doesn't really stand for the ideals that they want, but they make the protests, they make the rallies, they make it happen. So you're inclined to follow that because they are pushing the narrative that it's not right. A lot of those people know. Why do you think a lot of white people go to it? Because they know it's not right for people to be dying and for black people to be dying in higher numbers just because they live in poor areas and there's corrupt crimes going on. That's certainly not right either. There should be
Yeah.
ways to justify all this.
And it makes a lot of sense too. But when they come to this idea of reparations, they're looking for some cash payout. But what they're doing is destroying
Not
local
reparations,
businesses.
people.
But
People need to
they're
change.
destroying local business. They're burning places down. What if all those places had some homeless person hiding within a car lot, and you burned
With
that
secret
person to death?
societies and stuff. What if
What
you able to say,
what
oh,
if there was a house that burned down nearby, and there was a little girl, there was a little boy in that house, and you burned it down because you thought you were making reparations for yourself? This is not how you go about doing it. You don't burn things down. You don't destroy things to say,
no,
hey,
you protest outside the house of the people who do make it happen.
exactly. The ones that are
Outside their house, outside their work. Do not let them go without a camera in their face, just like that Black, what was that show? Black Mirror. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you change people to start realizing, hey, we mean business. We ain't gonna attack you, but we make sure that you know we're gonna vote you out if you
yeah,
don't start giving us
yeah.
what we're looking for. And
And
I'm
the whole
not
thing
calling it
is
as a
like,
threat, but that's how politics works, is it not? And if
yeah,
you win afterwards, we're gonna count ourselves. And if we find out you're cheating, then we're gonna have to do that's a terroristic threat on our nation. And we have the right to defend ourselves from you.
and that's just something that people don't understand. Like I've even seen this, and I used to really like Stephen Colbert when he did a lot of his shows in the past. I was really like, this guy makes me laugh.
Well, that's what they did.
And then
They
he
pulled you in. That was
and
all part of the plan
and
years
it
ago.
was like a fishing thing. He pulled me in with the line, the hook, line, and sinker and stuff. And then recently he says, well, if Kyle Rittenhouse can shoot some people like that and get away with it, then we need new laws.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I I'm from here. I'm in
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
let's
I'm
start
in
with Alec
Wisconsin.
Baldwin.
They showed the whole trial on PBS for 8 hours every day for about 3 weeks, and I watched almost the entire trial.
No,
And I seriously was about to be like one of those guys throwing something in the TV and just shouting out to the prosecutor, being so damn stupid and not even understanding law. He doesn't even understand law. He went
let's
against
start.
the law to try to pull things out that made no sense. He's like, oh, it was almost like he was going to ask Rittenhouse at one point. He's like, when you were a little kid, you probably tried to fry ants with a magnifying glass. So when are you going to create the death ray and just kill a bunch of people like that? It's just like I was just aghast with the stupidity that was coming out of this guy's mouth. And the judge was absolutely right with just throwing it back in his face. Twix, perfect. I love it. We're not
Seen those
we,
commercials?
we can't sponsor Twix though, but it'd be cool
You
if we
seen
did.
those?
I
You
don't
seen
know.
those commercials? Like
I haven't
Twix?
seen any Twix commercials lately. I don't know
Oh,
what they're doing.
look up
But
the Twix commercial, man.
I like Twix, but I haven't seen any commercials lately. I think I
It
heard
is
some
it is
controversy with that,
the
right?
most woke commercial I've ever witnessed.
Really? They decided to go crazy?
It has nothing to do with Twix. There's no
Okay.
need a moment.
I don't know. The problem that I have is when people go too far, and people keep saying, "Oh, well, like Tim Pool is a far right." No, the fact is, if you're calling somebody far right, you are far left. That's the case. If you can keep seeing somebody as a far extremist version of whatever you are the extremist version. That's perception, because that's the whole point. What is that terminology called? It's like you're looking in a mirror, but you're projecting. It's projection. Perception and projection. I think that's what you want to talk about is projection. You're projecting what you think everybody else is, when the simple
Yes.
fact is that's what you
Thank you,
are.
man. I
That's what you
told
are.
you, improvision, perception, and you figured out projection.
Because that's the thing a lot of people don't want to talk about. You know why they don't want to talk about it? You don't want to have to look yourself in the mirror and say, "Oh fuck, I screwed up." You don't want to have to go and tell your enemy, "I'm sorry, I've done something terrible to you." This is what Jesus had to say in the Bible that I want to incorporate into this. He made it such a severe thing that you have to go and ask your neighbor for forgiveness. You have to go and ask him forgiveness. You know what was one of the little parables he says with the old woman going to the judge? The judge didn't grant her wish based upon her judgment because he liked her. He did it because of her persistence. But that's what Jesus had to say. He says, go and ask those that you have wronged for forgiveness. Because it's almost like in the New Testament or the Revelations, with all the people in the white robes asking for vengeance, for justice, for what happened to them. I think we are our own tormentors in the next life. We have to get justice for ourselves based upon what happened to us. And if we don't get those sins forgiven, it's carried with us as baggage into the next life. That's why you see stuff like that with Scrooge. You know, if you saw the TV show Scrooge and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like,
TV show
it's.
Scrooge.
Or, no, I mean the movie Scrooge. I was just
Christmas
watching.
Carol by
I
Charles
was watching the
Dickens.
older. I was watching the older Scrooge with my mom and some family and stuff. They like the 1950s version, which actually is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alistair
It is.
Sims is a
Yeah.
really good actor.
My mom used to always appreciate that one too, and I enjoyed it too. The black and white one, yeah.
Yeah, it's very
It was
good.
very well
That
done. It's
guy
very and
is that
it's got
guy's.
a good amount of fear and a good amount of perfect acting
He was
that
a
makes
great
that
actor.
movie
I looked it
memorable.
up, dude. Guess when he was born.
Near you, I'm guessing.
No, when he
Oh,
was born.
when?
Yeah,
Maybe like 1875,
you're a little bit early.
a little bit early.
1900. He died in
My
1975.
1900. Wow, my grandpa was
1900.
1908,
Yeah,
but he died. He was 96, so I'm
yeah.
not gonna do the math. It was when I was younger.
But he was a great actor, and I'm just saying that it comes down to projection with a lot of things. A lot of people want to go out there and say, "Oh, this is the way it is, and that is the way it is."
Yeah,
Maybe it's just you projecting who you
yeah.
are, and everybody's like, maybe flip the switch, and you can
Well,
see
that's what
exactly what's going on here instead of.
you don't have to hate things. You don't have to look at everything. And even if you see something that's wrong, you don't have to get angry about it. You don't have to, you know what I mean? Anger is an okay emotion, but it's kind of like how the father is with the punishment in the household. It's like the last resort. You don't want the father to have to rain down the thunder every single time. You know, if the
Oh
father
yeah.
has to get angry every single time, guess how long that lasts? They'll be like 10 and be like, there he goes. You know, like it's not, it doesn't mean anything anymore. You've created it as a pattern versus fear. Well, my baby's do you hear that in the background?
Hear a little
Baby's got
whistle.
lungs all night.
Is
He's
that
just
a
crying, being a baby.
crying?
Yeah, my child, he's such a complainer. No, he really is. It's because we're trying to get him away from sleeping in the bed. I try to tell my wife, he's a boy. He can't be sleeping in the bed with you. I don't care if he's a baby. But I think his mom's point, you know. My wife's trying to prove a point now. Like, let him
Uh,
cry then.
it's kind of hard when you're growing up. You know, even my daughter, she all the way till she was like 4, she wanted to go and sleep in a bed and stuff. You know, and she'd wake up, she'd be
Well,
like, "Why am I doing? What am I doing in my own bed? I should be in my mom's bed." you know.
yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Um,
Like, as the parents, you have to realize that you're not there to give your kids everything they want. And then all of a sudden you realize that lesson later in life, and all of a sudden you're like yelling at your kids because they want everything.
I can actually understand.
Whoops.
I can
You gave them
understand.
everything they wanted since at birth. Like, what is your own fault?
I can kind of see how
Don't
this is.
pamper your kids at babies. You grow them up to do what they're supposed to do and be normal. You teach them to brush their teeth every night and all that. You know, I mean, you have that chance now at babies to let them get it as a habit. It's not
Mhm.
coddle them constantly, show them off like they're look at the cute baby. Yeah, teach them baby talk. It's great. It's great for language. I mean, I'm not
You know
gonna be a
that's the thing that
critical parent.
I
Go
see this.
ahead.
I see this with
I'm a
the
critical
way the
parent.
parties work too, and I even make it as a joke, but it's almost kind of true. When you're younger, you vote Democrat. When you're older, you vote Republican. When you die, you vote Democrat. You know, because trying to get. But in a sense, it kind of makes sense because when you're younger, you want to try to create some change. You want to become your own
Yeah, but
guy. You want to become
that's
your
a
own girl.
perception as
You
well,
want to.
though, don't you think? That's what they want you to think because they know there's a lot more younger people and there's a lot less middle-aged people and there's still a lot of old people.
But it still works for the actual voting tally for the most part. The younger people do vote more Democrat and they do get pulled into the ideologies of it because when I was younger too, like the Democratic Party was more for the side of like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, the grunge group and stuff like that. Like, don't tell me what to do. And now lately you see Democratic side saying like, do what you're told, you know, and it's
Because it's a
like that's
con. But
complete
that's just like,
opposite
that's what I'm saying. But it's not like
of
that. It's not
you
supposed to
know
be like that, though. It's just that's what I'm saying. They're getting themselves involved in too many different things. It's a
and they're
con.
trying but I'm just saying like with the Democrat the
My gosh.
Republican side they're trying to like interweb themselves into humanity, not just as
Yeah,
you know themselves as like, hey, this is what I believe and
a
this is
way
what I
of
want to
life.
do, but they're
Like
trying
these
to
are the
like
ways of life.
weave
These are
themselves into there like a fabric, and I
weird.
think that's wrong. I think it's totally wrong, honestly. I think it's a
No.
very horrible thing because
Because
honestly I
nobody
think
wants to leave, Republicans or Democrats. They don't want to leave the
because
office. Neither of
but
them. Nobody wants.
you
Everybody's
see how
holding
many
on to their
people that go into
jobs, and
tribalistic aspects about this. Be like, I've always been a Democrat because of blah blah blah. This president and blah blah. He was really good. I'm always going to be that, and it becomes a tribe. And now you're not just fighting against somebody else that has an ideology. You're fighting a tribe,
but
and
that's
it
what I'm
got
saying. All this, what is going on anymore? I mean, we have like, don't we have direct proof by now that Fauci's like guilty, or is this all just like Rand Paul's kind of copper pot theme and all? I mean, like for
if he's
real.
guilty, then they have to actually do something. But if they just sit on their laurels the whole time,
But
then
nobody, if
he could
nobody's
be
going to do
guilty
anything, I
as
don't
hell. But if
understand
nobody
it.
does anything, nothing can happen.
Even like Zuckerberg, I don't understand it. Like I don't understand anything going on anymore. Everybody can just do whatever they want. Loot. That's what they're trying to say. It's almost like that's what they're trying to do. Dismantle law. The rich people
Yeah,
can steal your money. The poor people, if you want to steal money and steal things, go ahead.
yeah, because it gets
Just make sure
they
it's not over like $950. Rich people make sure it's not over $950 million.
And that's the whole
I'll be
thing.
under a
Like
billion,
they keep
seriously.
talking about tax the rich. What is that going to do? They're going to find a way to loophole all that.
Yeah, tax doesn't
And where's the
matter.
money going to go? The money's going to go to the rich people because the rich people take from other rich people. Is it going to go into a new program made for poor people? Have you ever seen that before, Brad? Out of all the time we had Barack
Well,
in
what
office,
does it
all the
matter?
time we had Clinton in office, do you ever see anything like that? No, they don't do it because they don't care. And so everybody
Tax
keeps coming up with this
taxing the
idea that you're going to
rich.
tax the rich is going to make some difference. It never does.
Well, look,
And
here's
it
the
never
thing.
even
Okay, tax the rich. What does it matter? You can take away the rich's all the rich's money. They still have like mansions and things that you know what I mean. Like it doesn't it doesn't even matter. They still have all the connection to be able to go and decide whatever prices they want for anything. That's what I mean. It's not even the rich people's fault. They chose to make the prices, and you all chose to go to them. You, where do you think the $17 million for each athlete comes from? Comes from each one of you buying all their merchandise and everything. You know what I mean? It's like
it's
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 it's it's there. It's the
your
money's there.
impulsivity
You've given it to them.
that gave
Act,
money to
actors didn't
them.
get paid except for like, oh, box opening day. How much did it? $64 million. Guess
Hmm.
the actors are getting paid now. You know what I mean? And so I'm saying like you
That's
give them the money.
yeah. That's the thing a lot of people don't understand. They think they're gonna fight the system, and the whole thing with the Democratic side is it makes them look more like a vampire or a pirate, a vampire or a pirate, one of the two.
Like,
We're going to and suck our fangs into the backs of those that have made a lot of money and drain them of their money to make an equal system. But who's in charge of that? The rich people. We're going to do it to the rich people. And where's that money going to go? It's going to go to you? No, it's not going to go to you. They pirate off of each other. They try to vampire off each other. And where does any of this stuff go? You see this all the time. And it's just a constant
Maybe
complaint.
that's
It
what
doesn't.
the lizards are, though. Maybe there's like, they remember people used to always talk about that conspiracy that there's like lizards among us, but maybe that's what they are. Maybe they're people who sold their soul and now they're like in the society and they're like demons, and it's like that's it's like a pun on it.
Or if they're
I mean,
aliens and then they're bad
I
aliens.
don't know. It just the thing is, it's like I said though, it's like I don't think I could have all that money. Even if like I did something special and everybody gave me all that money, why would I want it for myself?
Well, the
What
thing
am
is,
I gonna what
after
am I
you
gonna
have
go
all
get?
that
Oh,
money,
PlayStation 5? I barely even play my PlayStation 4. You know what I mean? Like I
I don't
don't
know when I'm going to get a PlayStation 5. And I got my 4 and my 3. And
the next thing I want to be able to do when I get time off from doing things around my house or working anyway, I mean, I do watch YouTube videos, which is true. You know what I mean? And I do play my phone game, which is true. And
mhm.
I do relax a lot, find ways to just relax, take a long bath sometimes or,
That's just something that not a people
a
talk
nap.
about. But I do like taking some salt baths. And I was kind of influenced that by my ex. So I make some nice salt baths and I just relax. And
All baths are nice.
it's, uh, it's a pretty good thing.
One of the things
Um,
in Cowboy Bebop that Faye says that I thought was kind of funny is she's like,
all right,
shower, bath, shower.
what?
That's not a main thing, but she says shower, bath, shower. And I'm like, what? And it's just like, it sounds corny, but it's like, no,
Shower,
actually, it's
bath,
like
then
she's like,
shower.
it's something like you shower in the beginning, get the initial grime off, then you can bath to soak and relax.
Hmm.
And she's like, then you kind of shower again, and just like wake up again and like finish it off clean, get all the soap off you.
I do something like that myself, actually. I think it makes sense because you clean the whole body that way, and with the bath you can relax, especially if you do like a salt bath, get some salt in there, and the
Is,
salt absorbs into your body, and you're just relaxed, and you're like,
isn't
oh,
isn't
I
that
don't
fair
want to
enough that that's
move.
something that Faye from the original would say though, if there was more parts for shower, bath, shower?
Yeah, she
She's
might
that
say
kind of
something like
like,
that.
yeah,
I
she's
don't
kind of
think.
that annoying, like, yeah, you come up with these stupid
I
ideas.
think the fact that she probably said something like that was to probably be kind of sexy in some way.
Right, right. And that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. People just gave that such a hard time. Can you shut that baby up, please? Like, I don't know. Fine, just give him a little bit of milk, but like, he's crazy.
I don't have any milk here.
He needs to be weeded off the pit. So.
It takes a while for kids, though. Some are
I
different,
mean, it's all at
different ages
once,
and stuff.
but that's what builds a man,
But
Man,
that's the thing.
you can't be
Like little.
relying on your mommy for everything. You got to
Well,
be able to
yeah, but
learn to
little
take care of
little
yourself.
little babies gain a lot of nutrient from the breastfeeding and all that. So you know.
My wife agrees, but I mean, he's over a year.
Oh, I would let the kid go till like probably 3 or so, and then it'd be done. But I know what you're saying. Like you could change it, depending upon this and that. But it's a lot of vitamins, a lot of nutrients, a lot of good things.
It's
That's the thing
she
that
lets him
that's
have.
what.
I don't mind
But
letting him have it
that's what I'm
before he
trying to
goes to
that's
bed,
what I'm trying to
but
say with.
not during the middle of the day and stuff. Though that's what I mean. It's not a daily snack, but during the bedtime is like let him
Okay.
fall asleep to it. That's fine.
Yeah, because the thing is like, and it actually helps you like later on in life against allergies and things like that. And I've noticed this even in my family, like people that didn't get most natural stuff and they went to the doctor for the most part, they're still going to the doctor for the most part. They don't have the kind of immunity, they don't have the kind of system like I have to be able to handle viruses and stuff like that. And so it seems to be that way as far as like what I've talked to with people. The more you go to the doctor, the more your body's dependent upon a doctor. The more you go to
He
natural sources, the more your body's dependent upon natural sources. I think that's
he
the whole
had
thing.
he had COVID at 4 months.
Okay.
It's weird.
Everybody
He
could
said he
get it at
can't
some
get.
point. Just
I know.
it's
I
going
think he's
around.
like completely immune to it probably now.
Oh yeah, most kids basically just shrug it off. Even my daughter, she had it, and she's just like, I don't even, I had COVID and I got over it fast. I'm like, yeah, you're a little kid and you're really strong. You got a good immune system, and she's like, yeah, I do, and most kids, if they go the natural route, and she was breastfed up till like 4, I think. So I think the
Lord
longer
gracious.
you have the natural route, the better, the stronger you are. And because that's the whole
Each
point.
their own.
But I'm just saying, like, as far as like a human system goes, we were meant to be here to eat the fruits of the world. Why are we trying to make all the synthetic stuff and eat it? Look at what happened when they made margarine, and later on they found
Well,
out margarine wasn't even healthy for you. Butter and natural fats were healthier for you than stuff that even insects wouldn't eat, like margarine.
oh,
Animals
I
wouldn't even
agree
eat
with
it.
all that.
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying, like, natural stuff has always been better than anything synthetic a man could make. So once people figure that out, yeah, people are gonna be like, yeah, I don't really want a 256 booster shot from something that only works for like a day, you
that's
know.
what I mean. They're saying that's another thing that they say in Cowboy Bebop. They have a whole episode, but he's like, or like when they're at the restaurant, he's like, is it like soy meat or is it like and they're like, yeah, it's like soy milk based or something like that. And he's like, what about the ribs? She's like, hey, they just come in a package. The label says it's meat, but I didn't see the pig or I didn't see the cow. It's like,
Yeah,
is that the real future that we're supposed to start thinking is like our reality? Like
yeah.
weird to think about, like that could easily be. You know what I mean? Like you start thinking like you could just make a whole planet that's like super cold and colonate that with just the cows. We just grow cows on here because it's so cold. All the methane that they release will like have
Warm the
that
planet.
place warm the warm that little moon up in no time.
Oh man,
Like Neptune could be inhabitable, if we
I
just
suppose.
have it like a cow farm.
Yeah, but that's the thing too. Like a lot of people say this, and that's what I get upset about. Everybody keeps saying there's climate change. There's always been climate change.
I mean,
You,
I agree with
you,
that. I
you,
do
you look
agree that
at you
we're changing things though.
you
But
look at
look,
you look at Joseph of the many colors, and he predicted when there was going to be a bumper crop and when there was going to be a famine. How did he do that? With dreams. But the fact is, everything in the world goes through a cycle until it changes and becomes something new. But I mean, look at the fact that Aristotle drew a map of Atlantis with north being on the south side and south being on the north side. I
it's
think the
interesting you bring
planet
up climate change
I think the
though.
planet just goes through its own cyclical changes, and we want to say we're so smart, we understand everything, and we don't.
But
Because
Vox just did a piece on like why don't we talk about the ozone layer anymore? And they were talking about how like we got rid of like hydrofluor or chlorofluorocarbons and stuff like that, and then we have like a bunch of like fluorochlorocarbons or something now, and we've gotten them really down. Like basically the ozone layer is like fixed in that hole over Antarctica. They're like we don't really talk about it anymore because like we fixed it. And they're like, but the problem is now like the aerosols and stuff that we're using creates more not ozone problems, but like it stays within our atmosphere, creating more like climate changing problems. And I think to myself, like, I can understand like the science behind
but they
it.
talk about climate change, and then California actually has cloud producing machines. So the more clouds you produce,
Well,
where
that's
do
what I'm
those
saying.
clouds
Like,
go? They
I think
stack
it's
on top
all
of
of it
each other.
though.
So we're creating our own problems by trying to stop the problem. If we
I
stop
just think that we
trying,
we need to
it's,
stop like I don't know. We have like a big problem with the way we all own land and all that, and
but that's what
like
I'm
the
saying. Like the
the
whole
farm the
projection thing
farms.
makes sense. Like you're projecting your idea that we're all contributing to it, but you're the one that has all this millions of dollars that's actually changing the climate. maybe
Like, I don't know.
maybe come to come to this idea
I
that maybe
watched this one
you're the
video
problem.
once where this guy showed like he's like, here would be like a perfect like garden sense. And he's like, it starts on like this hill, and he had like certain kinds of like bushes for berries. Like, oh, just I don't think I'm going to be accurate in this, but just will, for more visual, I'll make it up. And like at the top of the water, he's like, now these hold like a good root in the rock and stuff like that. And he would have that, and then like further down in the water, he's like, and he shows like irrigation things that we would branch out. You'd have like other things like for like maybe like rice or something like that that would hold like basins of water that would allow like pour overs, and then down into like the next thing it was more like corns and something or something like that, like allowing this like. And he's like, then it gets down to like floor like lower areas, like we have palm trees and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. He just made like all these like different things. It's not just a flat field of like almonds for miles, or wine or grapes or all, it was like different things on each farm had like a better setup to produce less water runoff and stuff like that. They're like, but this way everything gets the best of the water and extra minerals that each other things like lack. Stuff like,
Hmm.
it's just people can do better in life. Like, we're not really like, we don't care. We just want our food given to us and
Oh
cheap
yeah,
costs, and
I think there's
and I want
definitely
my
a
cell phone to have faster internet, and who's causing me to have problems.
that like I
It's
totally agree with you, and I think other people might not know this about me, but I totally agree with you that we do have an imprint that we put on this planet. And I think the fact is, from the very beginning, we were the gardeners of this planet from what God's perspective was. We named the animals, we could name the plants. We're essentially the gardeners of this planet. We take care of it. And I think there's a good amount that we have to try to take care of as far as like, emitting smoke and carbon and all that sort of thing. But putting taxes on it doesn't do anything because you cannot run a giant crane that digs out the earth in a bulldozer with solar panel. You cannot do that. It'll last an hour, and then there's a whole day's work that you got to get done, and it won't get done. You cannot travel across
Well,
the
we should be
United
able to make
States with
solar panel
with
batteries and
solar
stuff like
panel.
that.
You
We should be able to
cannot.
have we should be able to have places that are like pulling in solar panels that
But the
charge batteries that you can just
the,
replace a battery and switch it in these kind
but
of
the thing
machines.
is, when the battery goes dead, the huge battery you got to throw away in the junkyard is more toxic waste than just the gas was itself. So, what do you do
Well, how
there?
would you how would you imply? I mean, even if you had a solar panel, it still runs through a battery for the battery to power. And there's
Yeah,
nothing's
but
going
after
solar
20
panel
after
direct to
after 20
direct.
after 25 years, the battery goes dead. You got to throw that away. You can't keep it. And then the solar panel only lasts what 30 years or so. You've thrown away that whole thing too. I mean, maybe it's a cool temporary thing, but there's other ways to do it. There's steam. There is, if you talk about some certain nuclear things, there's thorium for nuclear, plants and stuff that's supposed to be really good. It comes down to like a cheaper way of doing things. Even Tesla showed other ways to do things that were just kind of thrown out because it didn't have a profit to it. But maybe he had a cheaper way of doing things. They threw it out because it wasn't going to give them profit. And then they make movies like showing he's like an idiot and stuff. And it's like, what if the fact is there were already people out there that were willing to help, they were willing to do something for us, but there's these greedy people that are in power that we voted for, thinking that they were going to help change the system, and all they really wanted in the end, as soon as they got the power, they changed everything. Look at Biden; he changed every single word of everything he said as soon as he got in office. I'm not going to put any mandates in. Nancy Pelosi said, "Oh, we can't do that; it's against the Constitution." We can't do mandates. Everybody's got to get mandated. Everybody, everybody, everybody. They get in a power trip, man. As soon as these people get in play, you want a power trip, they change everything they say. They don't give a damn about you. And then all these other people that could have helped out just run roughshod over, and they don't mean anything anymore. What about
Three
Tesla?
more
What
years of this.
Yeah, 3 weeks to 4 years, right? Just look at Tesla. He made this huge electronic dome that would be in the outside fields. It could draw in energy from the sky and create electricity to go out there. Never
Yeah, I
made.
do think that that's probably like a right way, is like each thing to have some kind of reactor power,
And people are
machinery
like,
to have a
"Oh,
reactor
that's
power
free
that would.
energy." No, it's not free energy. It's encapsulating the electrical energy that's in the
Well, it would never
clouds.
be free because you need maintenance to keep
Oh
anything
yeah,
working.
obviously you need maintenance.
So, I
You need
mean, if you
somebody to
need
keep
maintenance,
up.
you're probably just going to get taxed by it
Yeah,
some way
but
or another. Because at that level, I've always said that before too. I don't I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with a government like controlling major important things. Electricity for everybody
well, that's what
becomes
they
like,
do with, with the roads, the
that's what I mean.
taxation comes from the roads.
Police force, even, fire company, protection. Like, you start to get into these, like,
I
okay,
think roads
well,
should be local though.
child services start to come into like play because you're going to get certain divisions. And I do think that there's a lot of different smaller branches that are going to end up getting into play. But I think you start to get into too many people, too many areas, too many things that the government really should have not had any business with. I think a lot of the things with charities and stuff like that
Yeah,
start getting into like the IRS being like, oh, we allow these tax write-offs. So why?
because
That's not
the
what a
thing is
charity is supposed to be in the first place.
the
If a charity happens, then the person gets money and then gives money. There's no money left over. So what tax breaks and stuff do you even really? I don't even, what I mean? People, oh, I give money so I get you.
yeah,
It's
and
just nonsense
but then
anymore.
people come up and they're like, we need to be paid more. The government needs to raise the minimum standard. You raise the minimum standard, everybody else raises their wages because people don't understand this. It's not just you that's getting a little more money. Everybody else thinks they're entitled to it as well. So what ends up happening every single time that the lowest start getting a little bit more, then the medium feel they should be deserving a little bit more, and the higher believe they should be deserving a little bit more. And you can see why a quarter pounder costs $5 to $6 when you go to McDonald's now. And why inflation happens is because everybody thinks they deserve more. So the scaling of what happens always will go up with the low and the high almost at the same time. Sometimes it'll jump up like this, but then the higher will go up like that. It never changes. It's a value based system. If we
It's
went to more
designed
of
to
an honor based
cut
system
whoever
with
it
the
when they
value
want
based
out.
system, it's always going to just stay. It's going to stay the same. It's going to go.
But it destroys smallest businesses, certain businesses who aren't really doing that well. They're just surviving on,
That can't
a few
afford to do
margins.
that. Yeah, the mom and pop shops that just can't afford. Like, I'm sorry, I can't give you 15. I don't. We're barely sticking this out, especially with all these like forced mandates and forced things that are being thrown on us by government that's trying to
Look,
be.
I
It,
I can understand, and I'm not trying to be mean, but at least where I live, there's a lot of too many restaurants in my mind. The fact is, the reason that places like McDonald's are usually busy is because they're good. I mean, it might be fake food, it
or
might
you
not be
mean you mean
healthy, but it's
fast? Like
tasty.
what does good mean? Quality or fast or
Tasty. Tasty. Not always your favorite thing. And I guess I know what you mean. A home cooked grilled burger probably tastes better than anything you're going to get anywhere. But for the most part, McDonald's has a nice salty taste to it. Those nice salty fries, and when they're done right and everything's done, you microwave for the right time, and the buns aren't, what I mean, like everything's even. The burger itself isn't even too bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad. It's not like you're eating gross.
yeah.
But like, you can go to another mom and pop shop, like a little like sandwich shop and stuff like that. They haven't had any customers for days, but they can't just. Our meat's starting to get a little bit older. We'll put a half price special on the ham and cheese, and you know what I mean? Like, we got to move it and
Hmm.
hope our regulars get it. And it's like everybody's just the
I
only
see. I see
people
what
that
you're
are
saying
going
with the
there are.
product, though. Especially if you got something fast is moving out there, you're not having older product wait. on the shelves for some time,
The
because
only, the
you're able to
only,
move it.
yeah, like, I mean, I've seen that like at a lot of places, and it's like the truth is, it's it's not that it's not even good. It's just that you can get that same sandwich at like eight other places that are doing the same thing, and every pizza shop. And if I'm gonna get that sandwich, I'm probably just gonna get it at my pizza shop anyway. Not like they do it better, but I don't know. Like, there's just too many like sandwich shop. Same thing with Chinese restaurants. Some of them are busy all the time, and you see other ones that are like nobody's there ever.
Oh yeah, I've seen that
And
plenty
it's
of
like,
times.
well,
And
you
and
know,
I've seen there's like this Vietnamese place that doesn't have a lot of people in it most of the time, but on certain days it gets really really filled. So it's like certain days they kind of expect to go out because people want to try something different. They want to have something a little bit different. It's usually like a
right.
Saturday
Yeah, I mean,
night
that
or
makes
something like
sense.
that. But with corporations, like we look at these things and we're like, well, they're doing really well. It's because this is the thing that I've had to say for a while, and it could be a little bit of the fact that it's more fresh in some way or just more accessible or something like that. But you get these corporations that know how to work that angle, and the reason they do that is so that they can keep those customers coming in. Like McDonald's does that a lot, to make sure that they're always available to you for the most part for a lot of time. But then you get these mom and pop shops that can't do that because they've only got like five people working for them, and nobody wants to work at 2 in the morning.
But
And there's not much money to be made at 2 in the morning because the thing is, here's the
but
thing.
look,
Here's what I have to say real quick is like even
mhm.
when I go and I play some pool sometimes at a place I like to play pool at, they lowered the time down to like the cutoff is 11. In the past, it used to be 2 in the morning. I could play till 2 in the freaking morning. But the reason they did it is because barely anybody goes. And I was one of the few that still did, but barely anybody went. So keeping the lights on for that area cost more electricity than it meant for me to just be there, as far as what they thought. But also, doing that actually scared away new customers from coming in later on in the morning because, well, they're just going to close at 11 anyways, because there's not enough people out there.
Yeah,
So they changed the times because of they're trying to crunch the numbers the same way another place was. But if there was a corporation that had a bar and could set up for pool tables and stuff, they would keep it open even at times when they weren't making money, just so they could say they're staying open at that time.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, Costco does that. A lot of the things are their chickens or something are cheaper, but they
Yeah,
leave the
go
back of
go
them.
go to Walmart at 3 in the morning. Go to a Costco at 3 or 4 in the morning.
I was
Not a
told
lot
that
of
when I
people
worked at
there.
Giant at a grocery store that I worked at when I was 16. That was 20 years ago. Like, it, you think he said, "Oh yeah, our salmon we don't even make money on." He's like, "We lose a little bit, I think." And I was like, I didn't understand at the time, like thinking about it, but it's like if you don't have salmon at a seafood restaurant, or a seafood part of the deli, you're not gonna. But at the same time, like you can't be selling your salmon for that much more and not, you know what I mean? It'll never get bought, and vice versa. People buy other things with the salmon and they make their money on that anyway.
Mhm.
So it'll pull itself its own money through itself, just
Yeah,
not through itself.
yeah, and I think that's the fact is like what we want to do as a humanity is we want to go to the person that or the thing that's doing the best because we think it's going to give us the best service. But the only problem with that is that it's turned into a corporation now. So the
Yeah.
fact is, McDonald's by you, for me, in a lot of places here, is absolute trash food. There's only one McDonald's that's nearby that actually makes some good quarter pounders. Other than that, people keep complaining. They go to this McDonald's, they go to back to McDonald's, they get sick. And I'm not just saying basic sick, but like, you know, coming out all over the place sick.
See,
It's
that's what
like
I mean.
it's
Like
not
it's
it.
people though.
So people come up with this perception that everybody likes the McDonald's. So it's going to be good, but the fact is, then they go to it and it's bad. But in your area, it could be good. I've been down to Georgia where there was McDonald's that was really good. I was like, wow, this is actually tastes really good. Like they
Yeah.
actually put some heart and soul into it. Like they actually care. But if you go to McDonald's here and you get sick, it's because they don't care. It's because they didn't heat their. You can look at the meat and you're like, why is it all pink in the middle here? And then you go to something else. But I'm just saying, now it's so big, you think it's always good or it's always bad, but it depends on the state, depends on
Yeah.
the area.
It depends on the people making it. That's what I mean. Everything is about the person.
But that's what it comes
I
down
try
to
to
when
be
we're.
so motivating at my work because what I keep trying to tell people is like you can be a person who leads people by yelling at them, making them do it, or you can make them want to do it.
You can inspire with fear or you can inspire with care.
Well, if you're a person in charge and you're not working harder than the people who are around you, who are under you, you failed. Because if they think you're working less than them, they will not tolerate it and they won't work as hard for you because that's who they're working for, the
That's what a lot of
company
bosses
and
actually try
you.
to pull off. They try to pull off this idea that they're working harder and more. Most of them aren't.
Most of them aren't.
Most of them aren't. Because they got the comfy seat. They can just wait until the progress reports are come in. They can wait until you finish drawing the design you needed to do or created the product you needed to do, and just wait in their office and be like, press a couple of buttons, and they're just looking at what they're looking at is logistics. Like we said at the beginning, looking at logistics, like who's doing the most work, who's doing this, who's doing that, and then you think you're working for this really hard worker, but they're just looking at your progress the whole time. You're like, is this person
Right.
doing the most work, or are they not doing the most work? And then they
And that's
try
the
to figure
thing.
out
That's
who to
how the
can
average
and who
person
to.
is like that. The average person at work always wants to like think about everything.
That's what I'm saying.
You
This
know what
is
I
what
mean?
happens in
They
big
act like they
corporations
don't,
all the
but they
time. This is what happens in big corporations all the time. Mom and pop shops, it's a little more of like, hey, are we buddies and friends? Then you might elevate yourself in that position. But corporations are about, it can come down to logistics at the end
yeah.
once you get getting them really high.
People hate when they see someone else getting paid the same amount. I watched that Amazon video where that woman's like that. She's like, I don't understand. She's like, I got hired at 17.85. Now these new drivers are getting $22 off the bat, and I'm still making 17.85. It's like I don't understand that. Like, why am I getting screwed when I came through for them? And it's like you bought them at that point. You agreed to the contract. Quit and reapply. You know what I mean?
Or you
Like,
ask for a raise and say I'm gonna quit if you don't give me this raise, because that's the
and you know
thing.
what they'll say? Fine, we'll get another person. There's like 1,000 applications. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. Like,
That's the reason why corporations are kind of part of the big. They're kind of part of the big
that's
evil
a big
because they're so
problem. If you're
big.
paying,
They're so big. There's not much incentive to fail. Everybody wants to go to them because it becomes so drastically big. Like, remember last time I told you, like, if something gets too big, maybe everybody should try to move to another place. And you're like, that's what the Dutch do. Do you remember
look,
that
what would happen?
conversation we had? I'm just saying, like, the mom and pop shops don't do that because they need somebody reliable. And the
All right,
fact is,
look, what would happen if this? We now fix our economy, right? We go back to the right way to do things with the economy. Now, places like Amazon are paying their employees $22 an hour to push these packages around. And now, what if you made it where it's like they'll just all, you know what they'll do? They'll just fire all the employees. That's what I
yeah,
mean. Like, because it's
as
like
soon as
that's
they
what they'll
get
do.
too
And then
integrated.
and then rehire the employees at a lower rate. Oh, we're going down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what the old place I worked for at the chocolate factory did. They
Yeah,
they fired a
the
bunch of people and
what
then
I,
rehired at lower rates.
that's what I'm trying to say, man. Is that the corporations are never out for humanity's best interest. It's out
Right.
for corporations' best interest,
You know
which
how they say
corporation is not
don't
even a
don't
human.
discuss your pay with other
It
people. Do
it's not a
not tell
human.
your pay to other people's pay. But then what do they say in the front lines nowadays? Oh, we do competitive wages here. What's competitive wages, you ask? Well, we compare the wages in the area to other businesses like ours and what they make for their employees. So you're saying you're discussing our pay with other businesses?
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
So why can't we
Yes.
discuss our pay with other people? Don't do that. Don't do that. Is it against the law? Don't do that. Just don't. Okay, but like, can I get in trouble? You could get in trouble with us. We don't like if you discuss your pay with other people. Yes, you could be fired. We could fire you for discussing your pay with
Oh
other
yeah.
people.
I've had such hard times with certain jobs that once I
You know,
understood
like
what was going on behind the scenes, because the fact is I'll talk to people and they'll just open up and tell me. They'll just tell me what's going on behind the scenes. The truck driver, the person, executive in the higher office, the person on the machine. Most of everybody knows a little bit of everything that's going on in the corporation and the company, all the way to the top. They kind of know how it's running. And what I'm just saying is the mom and pop shop for the Aquarian Age, to some degree, even if it's an online thing, needs to come back because the corporations are killing a lot of things. The corporations are the reason why we have all this pollution. All these planes flying everywhere, all around the place, just to come back to one location. Like, let's say you have a location in Kansas, and you got to send your planes all the way to Japan, China, and Canada, South America. All come back to one location. Guess how much gas is distributed from the plane shooting out
I know
everywhere
you think
because of all of that product that you
100
need to
years
go
ago we didn't
back and
have any
forth.
planes flying around at all, and now all of a sudden we need it. No, we need it.
If it was
I'm
localized,
tired of everybody
it
acting like
wouldn't
we need
use as much
everything.
gas and pollution as it is when it's corporate and it's
The
going
government
everywhere.
wants to justify how much they spend because they need to all the time. You need to. You don't need just because
They
somebody's up
need
your
to
ass, not a
because
problem.
they
Tell them,
need
hey,
to.
you know what you should do? Start a GoFundMe and see how it works out. If enough people care, I think you could start the whole revolution yourself. But as for the government getting involved, we don't need to. We're not. We're the government. We're worried
Dude,
about
but that's
government
that's
things.
the thing that we don't understand anymore, and this is what we were built upon. This is what America and a lot of big places that were built upon.
Who does Joe Biden think he is to give our
Local mom and
taxpayer
pop
money?
shops. That's what it's
Random
built upon.
people, random immigrants, money whose families got separated from the Obama built cages. The Obama started up system when he wanted to tackle immigration, putting it all in there. You know what I mean? Like
It's
this is
perception.
all yeah, it's all perception. And you want to give you can't just be throwing our taxpayer money away however you feel fit.
And
You're
look at
not our
this
freaking ruler.
$100 quadrillion tax plan they want to do. I don't know. It's like $30 trillion or whatever. Just pork barrel spending stuff. Like, what are they? When you hear Nancy Pelosi say, well, we have to push it through because we don't know what's in it unless we push it through Congress. That is the most idiotic, stupid thing a absolute dumb person would say. We don't know what
I
it
know.
is, but we got to push it through. We got to push this bill through so that we'll know what's in it after we push it through because we don't know what's in it. That is the dumbest thing a dumb person, an
I
absolute
know.
ridiculously dumb person could say.
It's just absolutely
Why do we
insane that we
have
can't.
these ridiculous dumb people in office?
I don't
They should
understand how we
not
can't
be.
just sign a petition to have them impeached.
I
I
think
mean,
we should have that. Yeah,
I'm
I
serious.
think we
Like,
should have that.
is there
Yeah.
no? I mean, is there no? Like, I don't understand. Is there really that many people who are like, no, she's doing a great job? I don't. I can't find a single person.
Most people on both sides don't even like her. And in
Most people
fact,
on both sides don't like Biden or her or Kamala.
yeah,
You see these people who are Democrats, and it's like they don't like the Democrat Party. They just want to remain Democrat. It's like even they said like a liberal back in the day used to be like freedom, liberal. Nowadays, liberals are like I need to get vaccinated, and it's like, how are you liberal and telling people what they need to do?
because they think that everything that they hear is the truth, and that's the whole point. When you're younger, they said, "Don't believe everything you see on TV." That also applies for the internet. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. And just because someone's powerful and rich and has a lot of money and trying to give this out, I even had questions with Democratic people on my family side. They're like, vaccines don't make anybody any money. I'm like, you think they just make this up for free? You think they pro bono everything they do in life? Like, vaccines don't cost anything to make. Nobody's making anything off it. Like the government and the vaccine maker aren't exchanging money
I like this one
for
thing that
this.
said,
I'm just like, are you insane? Do you think that everything is just free? Oh, this will save your life. Here, it's a pill. It took me this many hours to make, or this injection, it took me this many hours to make. It's totally free. You got to be absolutely out of your mind if you think that injections and pills and all that are for free.
well, that's what I mean.
No,
Like people are like, oh, we
no.
mandated things in the past. Yeah, polio was like killing people left and right. This,
There was no mandate for it was to pay a fine if you didn't want to get it. It was a $5 fine for the first inoculation and stuff
um,
like that. Well, maybe you're talking about something else, but
it might have been something else.
but
Either way,
we live in a crazy world, man, and that's what I wanted to say too. We keep seeing everything as a joke, and then we laugh at it. It becomes a joke, but it's actually serious. And I see all these commentators making all these jokes about this sort of thing, but you know what? They're doing a disservice to everybody because they're not showing it as a bad thing. They're showing it as a joke. So everybody thinks of it as a joke when it's actually a bad thing, and we should actually voice our opinions against it. Because if we don't do that,
yeah, I
you know,
know the leaders of all these movements should be finding ways to get petitions and stuff like that to get these people out of office.
that's the reason I get upset with even like Steven Crowder and stuff. He talks about all this stuff. It's like apparently bad, but he turns it into a joke, and it's like, well, that's all it'll ever be, man, because that's what you want to make it, you know. And that's what's wrong with him in that aspect. I mean, I think he tries to do what he wants to do, and there's other people that say things. Even Bill Maher went against the vaccine. He's like, I'm not doing this all the time, with the whole mandate and stuff. And it makes sense, but we're turning this all into jokes to the point that we're all going to see it as a joke and nobody's going to do anything because now we just think of it as the joke. And so we talk about clown world. We're just like we're manifesting the very damn thing that we don't want to have. That's what we've been doing, Brad, as a nation. We've been manifesting the very stupid thing we don't want to have. And we don't have to do it. We can stop right now. And I think that's something that, like, people don't want to believe. They don't want to believe it because they want to believe whoever is the most powerful person that tells me what I have to do, they're the ones that are right. Guess what? They were the ones that manifested that idea into your head. The only way to manifest them out is to come together as a community and make things right.
Yep.
But we have to do that as individuals. We can't just wait for
We
all
need to
these.
we need to come together as a community.
You're right.
The people who are on the same page need to start banding together and stop making as many jokes and liking the jokes. And start liking the comments where people are like, let's pray for these people. Like let's group, let's show God, we figured it out, and start praying that these people start seeing the error in their ways because they're evil minded.
Yeah.
I don't
It,
know. I'm serious. Like it's a religious war, and we're not. We're
I
so
think you're. Yeah.
we're all falling for it. We're all falling for it
I think
from
you're right on
different
that aspect
angles.
too. Yeah.
I
Because we
feel
just.
bad for the people in Thanksgiving who don't have anyone, and yet, like you see on the news, they're saying do potlucks, share it with other people. Share the cost with other people, and it's like, what about the people who don't have anybody to share it with? That's the whole point. Like, again, I mean, it's mean to say, but like I said, before the show when we were talking, if you had a feast for Thanksgiving, you honestly probably missed the point of Thanksgiving. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I realize it. Like, it's like, what are we doing when other people are not eating? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, feast. I'm saying like that's the one day of the year when you should be finding other people and helping them more
and
making sure we all eat that day.
yeah, and
And
I
you
think
know what I
that's the
mean?
thing is like
It's
our
the opposite of like, oh, I should selfishly bundle up in my nice warm house, have the night off, and eat my feast. And you can't
and
take
according
that from me.
yeah, according to media too, like, oh, it was, people against the Native Americans and stuff. That's not why we do Thanksgiving today. That's not why we do it. We do
Mm-mm.
it to incorporate other people in, and show them that we're all family. This is why we do it, especially here in America. And what you're saying does hold true. Like if you find somebody that is without, spend some time being there with them as well, because this is why
Well,
we
that's
do
what
it
I mean.
today. But they're trying to spin it. They're trying to change the perspective to be something like, oh, look at what happened in the past. We don't live in the past. We live in the now. The past is
I'm
gone.
just saying, I
We
saw
live in the
Fox
now.
mocking
Live in
over and
the
over
now.
again, acting Fox the whole time was acting like, oh, I don't have to have my soy-based turkey or this and that or no turkey at all, and it's only I should have my Thanksgiving dinner the way that I want. Now you're gonna tell me what I have to eat for Thanksgiving, and I was just thinking like, I understand your point, but like you guys are so rich, and you're not. I mean, now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's the thing. God and Jesus says you don't have to talk about your charitable acts and stuff like that. So maybe behind the scenes they do other things, but I don't think that's any right to be kind of grinchy talking about it on the news for other people to hear. It doesn't give you the meaning. You should have been blessed in talking about Thanksgiving for being thankful. And the thing is, a lot of people can't be thankful this year. And if you can be thankful, maybe you can try to
Find a
help a
way to
few
share
more
that.
people be
Yeah.
thankful. And if you all do that, then maybe we could all be thankful, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what made the Grinch change. Everybody was still singing, even
Mm-hmm.
without the presents.
They found a
You know what I
way
mean?
to be happy with
Without their
the fact that
monetary
they were
values.
alive and they had the friendship and they had the love of their neighbor. That is actually it, because taking away the presents kind of almost took away a veil from their eyes, took the scales off their eyes to be able to see
Right.
the real situation here. I don't mean to cut you off anymore or anything, Brad, but we're
Yeah, I
our
figure we're probably
hour
hitting our
20
limit.
minutes here, so I think we should kind of close up here. But any last thing you want to say for like the last
Well,
minute or so?
just to re-mention that improvisation, improvising. My daughter was talking to me about that because and I realized like I never explained to her, things will come your way. That's not how you plan them. You need to improvise. If you don't have
Hmm.
sugar, maybe you got honey. You know
Or
what I
you got
mean? You got
salt or pepper.
That doesn't make any sense. It's
I,
sugar.
I'm improvising.
Heavy improvisation. But the point is, like I was saying, I said the opposite earlier in the episode, but it's the same way for other people. The opposite for other people as well. Sometimes you have to improvise a little bit more. Things aren't going to go your way all the time. And you need to improvise and not just throw a hissy fit and say, I want this way, and that's the only way. You know, sometimes you need to improvise and realize, like, okay, this isn't going to happen this way. So I'm in this situation. I can do this about it. And I think we need to all kind of, what were the three we said then? Perception,
Projection.
improvision, and then projection. How you perceive it exactly, and then how you have to kind of twist it to make it work for you, and then how you're actually going to give it out to other people. And this is like our the present. This is a present. Our present creates our future, and our past we can only learn from. So it's best we don't destroy it.
And that's what the media is trying to do. They're trying to pull up our past to try to reignite an old flame. It's like sparking an old lighter
Yeah.
to get us to go, you know,
To
and get all
refuel
attack each other and stuff.
to refill the fuel, you need to
You know,
kind of clean it out. You need to
yeah.
clean out the dirt that's in there.
Hmm.
But history did something right. It created a way for us to be able to be free, to be able to speak our mind, and that created a lot of successful accomplishments, ending slavery, allowing more people to be able to have a voice in our government.
Hmm. And the fact is,
You know,
it took time. Nothing immediately just changes like that. I hereby speaketh that all the walls in the world will be painted blue.
right?
That
If
could take
something
50
doesn't,
years. That could take 50 years before all the walls are painted blue because I said so. And
if
some
something,
people agreed with me. I'm just saying things take time. I'm not saying that's it's a good thing. I'm just saying it's a thing.
well, it wouldn't
And
matter. Even if
I
somebody
mean
decreed
just
it by law,
but I'm just
it
saying
would still
look at the freedoms
go
we
the
have now.
opposite way.
Look at how we do respect other people now of different colors and different religions. Look at how we do that. Yes, there's a small percentage that doesn't, but it's not an astronomical perspective. And most people understand this. It's not an astronomical number, you know. So I'm just saying, like, look at the. But
Look
that's the
at
whole
my
point.
wall.
What?
I wanted that thing. I bought it when I was in Dominican Republic. I
What?
bought it from a Haitian guy.
Oh,
And
thing behind you.
my wife's like, I don't want that thing hanging up. But then she put it up one day. I
Oh,
love
okay.
it.
All right, we got to end the video here. So thanks everybody for coming by, and we'll see you in the next episode. I'm Frank. This is Brad, and we are Aquarius. Thanks for coming by. Definitely do one of these, and subscribe if you want to see more of this. And
You don't have to smash that like button. You just have to push it.
yeah, just push it. You know, it's very gently. Boink.